What's goody, y'all? It's Goody, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Gabbing with Goody Gabor. You can like, subscribe, and comment right here at Goody Gabor Gabs. You can also follow me on IG, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Goody Gabor. I appreciate your attendance. Now let's get into it. At age 15, I met a guy and I liked him, but it was not reciprocated and I was semi-cool with it, but whatevs. We became friends. We became good friends. He became a part of my best friend group. And then in 1992, I realized that I totally, absolutely was in love with this dude. And then SWV comes up with I'm So Into You. And that was the soundtrack to the beginning of my relationship with my co-parent. Did he have a girlfriend when I realized this? Yes. That's why I listened to the song and thought about him, but never said anything. And then in 1993, he ended things with the lady that he was with, and we became a thing. That is what SWV means to me. Xscape would follow years later with tunes that absolutely were the soundtrack again to my life and my relationship. So here we are. SWV, Xscape, the Queens of R&B. Let's get into it. Historically speaking, girl groups always have one major issue, and that major issue is that the best singer in the group, the lead singer in the group, is told that she is so much better than everyone else that it starts to cause conflict in the group. With both groups, that is the point of contention. For SWV, Coco was the voice of the group, although Taj could blow and Lily could do her thing, but Coco was the voice. And we start out this episode by learning what went wrong and when things started to go wrong for SWV. From inception, if you let Coco answer it. Basically, she was Coco. She was the voice. Taj hated her. Lily hated her because from their perspective and from what I recall, her ego took up the group. She decided to go solo after her ego became a fourth member. That's in the words of Taj. After she went solo, the relationship that wasn't really that close in the first place started to fall apart. Then they did a show in 2012, and they realized they are better together than they are apart. But what you're not hearing and what they're not saying is they realized that the bag was more important than little squabbles of 20-somethings. They came to get the money. In 2017, I was tapped by one of my homegirls who was a Xscape fan, and she said, hey, they're going to be together at Essence Fest. Let's go. I was like, sure, let's go. We went, and they put Master P on the main stage and Xscape on an added stage, like in a room. So many people wanted to get into the room that Xscape was in that it was a hazard, actually. I never got to see Xscape. I was there, but trying to get in to see them would have been hazardous to my health. So that's how powerful and impactful the group Xscape is for the culture. The issue for Xscape has been, no one has really known the issue But everyone has just pointed the finger to Kandi. In 2017, the group embarked on a 30-city tour. Things were rocky from inception, it seems. That's what it is all about. You know, from what we understood as fans, Kandi ruined the group because Kandi was sleeping with everybody. Everybody. And this is what Tamika told a radio station once, and it stuck. And you can imagine that caused a problem. Okay, so now the meat of the show begins with Kandi in the studio, and Tiny comes to see her. Kandi's listening to old audio that her and Tiny have worked on. You know, they make a few jokes about how they have been working. Throughout the years, Kandi and Tiny remained close because they stayed getting the bag together. And of course, because the sisters were sisters and there was friction between the sisters and Kandi, they were not a part of that ride. They talk about the music, and eventually Tamika, one of the sisters, visits them. She comes in, you know, they talk, they get to eating. There was friction between Kandi and Tamika because, as I said, Tamika went down to do an interview and aired Kandi out, said Kandi slept with everybody and she was the reason Xscape broke up. They were able to get over that to try and get to the bag, but, you know, as they sit down to talk over food, they get to really, really talking. Apparently, during one of their city tours, Kandi and Tamika were locked out of their their dressing room or their trailers. And they were locked out for an hour when Latasha decided she was going to just leave. Tamika felt a way about Latasha leaving, and I understand that because you may not know this, but I am one of 5 girls, and I was raised a certain way. And the way I was raised is, if my sister has a problem, I have a problem, and I'm definitely not leaving my sister with the problem or in the problem. So when Latasha left, Tamika felt a way about it, and they got into a spat via text. You know, the girls are talking about it, and during the spat, and they haven't seen each other. It's been 30 days since that occurrence, and Tamika and Latasha have not spoken to each other since that occurrence. Apparently there was a group text, and in the group text, Tamika was like, yo, how could you leave me when I was locked out of my trailer? Latasha was like, yo, whatever smoke they had, Latasha was like, yo, kiss my ass. And Tamika says to Latasha, if you had an ass to kiss. Apparently, Tiny is the bridge to everyone. Who would have figured, right? Who would have thought? She's the bridge to everyone. And at this stage, she's the only one speaking to Latasha because Kandi and Latasha have age-old beef. Like, the last time they did a show together, Kandi revealed that she never thought Latasha liked her. And, you know, Latasha said, I didn't know that, but whatever, right? Tiny's the only one who is in constant communication with everyone. And Latasha has let Tiny know that she believes Tamika was body shaming her. Let's take a step back. Throughout the history of Xscape, Latasha was always the more curvy, more voluptuous of the girls. Everyone else was small. Latasha was the big girl, but she was also the voice. And throughout the years, I guess that bothered her. She never had any surgery to enhance or remove parts of her figure, right? She never had surgery, and she doesn't have a pear shape. So when Tamika made the reference to the fact that she didn't have an ass to kiss, That hit her in the chest, and that is the reason why they are not messing with each other. They ain't fooling with one another. They haven't spoken. And this is a problem because they're trying to come together. They, in, I guess, 2020 or 2021, Xscape and SWV did a versus, and it was well received. The fans were excited, and the fans want to see them on tour. I told you what it was like, me trying to see Xscape. The fans want to see Xscape and SWV. They want to make this happen, but they don't know how they're going to make this happen because the group has been plagued by issues. Initially, it was Kandi and Latasha. And now, as Tiny says it, the sisters are at war. So they're trying to figure out if this is something that could even happen. The funny thing to me about this is the sisters are the ones that need this particular bag because Kandi, as we know, is set. And Tiny ain't really got no worries. As a matter of fact, when Tiny works, her husband, T.I., Tip, the king of the South, he don't like when she's working. She doesn't need to work. They have these kids, 7 of them, and he want her home. So to me, it is in the best interest of the sisters to make this happen. But, it's going to be complex. Back to the SWV side of things, we see the girls rehearsing. They are letting us know they get to the bag when they're on tour. Their manager lets us know and lets them know that he had a preliminary discussion with the Xscape management, and he floated the idea to them, like, what if y'all went on tour? Xscape is potentially down. And, Lily, Taj, Coco, they are all cool with it. They're like, yeah, we could do that. But they all know that there are problems with the other group. And they all know that when 2 super groups come together, ego's going to be an issue. So the question they have is this even something that's possible? They're down, but is it possible? We get a glimpse into Latasha's world. We see her husband, her son. Her husband and son are playing ball. She comes out to be their cheerleader. It seems like a decent family. They go to the kitchen. They're having discussions. Her son asks what's up with her, and she lets her son know, there are big things on the horizon. She mentions that SWV and Xscape may go on tour. And, she also mentions that it's a little complicated for her because she is not on the good foot with her sister. And that's problematic because when you're in a group with your family member and you and your family member are on the outs, it's going to cause problems. And she wonders if they could get to the business without involving the family components. The takeaway from this is her family seems to be a sound unit. However, if you recall, her husband in the news seems to be a part of the reason they have issues. But we'll get to that as the season progresses. Hell, as the episode progresses. We get a glimpse into Tiny's life. We know she has those 7 kids. We know her life is not foreign to us because, we've watched them on VH1. Basically, Tiny, my apologies. Tiny is a mom, a housewife. She lets us know again that Tip don't want her working, and he doesn't understand why she has to work because they got money and he makes sure that they are provided for. And she has to remind him, hey, Tip, I'm working because I'm a businesswoman. I'm working because I also have these talents. But it's nice to see how, Tiny's family is getting along. Eris is so beautiful, and she got a little voice on her if y'all ain't hear it. We get a glimpse into Tamika's world. She is with her husband, who is an executive security guard, which means that he is on the road with celebrities and business professionals, protecting them from the world. They've been friends for years. He was a bodyguard for one of the shows that Xscape did. And, they were friends. And then she realized that she had feelings for him. And she shot her shot. And here they are. She's a mom and a grandmom. And she's happy. It's a good life. It looks like a good life. Tamika is also bothered by the fact that she hasn't had contact with her sister. And she's also concerned that the issues they are having will get in the way of the bag. Taj has put together a brunch so that both groups could get together and discuss what is potentially going to happen with them going on tour. Tiny arrives first. They hug on each other. They love on each other because they're the two who, gathered everyone to come to the event. As the ladies pile in, we see who they are. Coco comes in and she's like, yo, I'm from Brooklyn. I wasn't finna come here early. You know what I mean? Lily comes in. SWV has their shit together. Kandi comes in. Tamika comes in. They're all good. They have a vibe. They're all good. Then Latasha comes in and she brings a funky energy to the table. And it's very interesting to me because when she's talking to her husband and her son, she's excited about the potential of them going on tour. When she comes in, Taj lets her know, oh, you're sitting next to your sister. She walks in. She doesn't say anything to Kandi. Hey to Tiny. Her and Tamika give each other, actually, Tamika comes in after. But they have a cold reception. And then they get to talking about the group and the vision and the production. And out the gate, Taj looks at Latasha like, dude, do you even want to be here? What's up? And Tasha's like, I'm not feeling it. And for whatever reason, she thinks that this is the time to present her issues with her sister and the group's issues in front of everyone. Coco's face is hilarious because, rumor has it, we've been hearing about their drama, but Coco's face is hilarious because you could tell she's thinking, these chicks don't get it. They don't really get what kind of bag is out there. And you could also tell she might be thinking like, I don't know why they can't make this happen because these two the ones that need it more than the other two. Speaking about the sisters versus Kandi and Tiny. Taj is like, y'all, let me give y'all some advice. We have learned that we have to get over it. The fans learn that, SWV has kind of been the big sister to Xscape based on their ages and when they came into the industry. Taj let it be known, like, check this out. Like, we had issues. We had to get over those issues to see the bigger picture, which is the bag. Lily lets them know, look, as women, we got to do better than this because we forgive men for all kinds of foolishness. But you mean to tell me y'all can't figure this out in order for us to go on tour? The funny thing to me is Tiny and Kandi have to feel embarrassed. They are industry professionals. They've been industry professionals. This is not the time nor the place for the issues amongst the group to be presented. One, the cameras are there. Two, the other group is there. I'm not quite sure what Latasha was thinking, but it's becoming clear to me in this instance that Latasha is the problem. Latasha also mentions to us that, her being the big girl was problematic. And she cites a thing that I'm sure sticks with her, whereby they did their thing, and one of the fans came and was like, the big girl was singing her face off. And I guess she felt away because no one said her name's not the big girl. Her name's Latasha. However, that's from back in the days. You ain't even big no more, girl. What is your issue? I mean, I can see what her issue is, but she's problematic. To me, she is the problem. It's not Kandi. Kandi ain't said nothing. And you could tell Kandi's on it like, yo, I'm going to stay quiet because I get blamed whenever I open my mouth. We see Kandi and Todd. They are at home. They are with their children. And, it's Friday pizza. Todd's like, wait, we making the pizza ourselves? And, yes, they are. They get together. They make the pizza as a really cute family unit. Kandi makes sure to let us know that Todd runs things. And I could see that, even though people wouldn't believe it. All of that to say, they get to talking about the potential in the future and, what's been going on. And Todd is like, ooh, y'all need a group therapist. And he may be right because, he was like a girl group from the 90s trying to get together. Y'all need a therapist. And he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. Miss Gloria is the mother to Tamika and Latasha. And she is not happy that her daughters are not getting along. Latasha's at her house first, and they get along famously. Tamika comes along, but before Tamika even gets there, and she brings her daughter with her. Before she even gets there, she lets us know her mom plays favorites, and her mother's favorite is Latasha. Now, when she says this initially, I'm going to tell you the truth. Again, I am one of 5 girls. My mother actually has 6 children. We are like the Braxtons. My brother's older. 1 boy, 5 girls. We all wanted all of my mom's attention. If you were to ask me, did my mom play favorites? When I was younger, I'd say yeah. I'd say that her favorites were the Alpha and the Omega. My brother, the only boy and her first child, and the Omega, my little sister Kimmy. But in retrospect, my mom was always very good at making sure that her children knew, I don't play favorites. I know my children. I know what each and every one of you would do. I know why you would do it. And I have a personal relationship with each of you. So when you hear someone say, hey, my mom plays favorites, that might not always be the case. Sometimes you just feel some kind of way. I was a creative. My little sister was a creative. My mom nurtured, in my opinion, my little sister's creativity more, but she was older and understood more about my sister's creativity than she could understand being an immigrant from the West Indies who didn't know hip hop. Like, I was a rapper. That was foreign to my family. My little sister sang R&B. My mother loved R&B. She got with what she could understand. As a child, as a 20-year-old, in my youth, I thought that was a preference for my sister. The reality is it was a preference for the music that she got into. But enough about me. Let me tell you what I understand in this meeting. They get to talking. And, Latasha is like, you body shamed me. And Tamika's like, you left me when I was in a bind. You bounced and you took security and management with you. She calls her Beyonce. And she's dramatic, so she gets up to do a show. And while she's showing her mother what transpired, her mother whispers to Latasha, she's jealous. And right there is where we know what the problem with Xscape is and what the problem between these sisters is. The mother is a point of contention. The mother's not doing a good job at making sure the playground is fair. I would say that the mother understood Latasha was the voice and the mother clung to the person who was making the money. But it gets better. Tamika lets us know that Tiny reached out to her about some royalty checks they should have been getting. And the royalty checks are checks that she never received. When Tiny did some investigation, some forensic financials, she discovered that the money went to Latasha and her husband, and Latasha's husband deposited the checks. Tamika never saw them. It was to the tune of $30,000. So things get heated really quick. The mother's not good at de-escalating anything between these girls because it's 2 against 1. Latasha and Miss Gloria against Tamika. The granddaughter, who is Tamika's daughter, is looking at the situation, and you could tell she's saying, I'm not going to disrespect any of my elders, but I know what this is. I've seen it before. It's getting heated because now Tamika's like, yo, fam, I stopped them from arresting you because you could have been arrested. That's $30,000 I never saw. But don't play with me because that's still on the table. Miss Gloria is like, turn off the camera. Get out my house. And the world is wondering if Miss Gloria got some of that $30,000 herself. Did they split it in 3, 10, 10, 10? Whatever the case is, it's going to be a wild ride for the Xscape and SWV crew. That's what we have. That's what we got. That's all it is. We know what the problem is. The problem is titled Miss Gloria. Gloria! You're the problem. Bye, y'all. That's what's goody. That was goody. Thanks for watching. Catch y'all later.